So we hear a lot about burnout. What about something called compassion fatigue? Burnout prevention strategist Bonita Eby joins us now with more. So let's start out with, what is compassion fatigue?
Compassion fatigue is the stress resulting from exposure to suffering people. It's caused by vicarious trauma. In other words, it's witnessing or listening to other people's difficult stories or their pain. And that exposure is cumulative.
Okay, I can imagine this is something, and you deal specifically with more corporate or professional roles. I can imagine it is something that caregivers, home caregivers get, but on a professional level, are we talking healthcare workers, social workers?
Yeah, you are completely bang on. We're seeing it a lot in healthcare workers, anyone from nurses and doctors to intake workers. We're seeing it in emergency response from paramedics to forensics. And we also see it with purpose-driven nonprofits.
And is this something new, or is this just something that people are recognizing, okay, this is why I'm feeling this way, this is why I'm acting this way?
That's right. This is something that's been going on for a long time. And I think it's just now that the public is beginning to understand what it means. Even burnout pre-pandemic, it was something we didn't talk about or we didn't understand. Post-pandemic, we're actually calling too many things burnout. There is a very specific term, or it is a very specific term. Same with compassion fatigue. This has become now public knowledge, but people in these helping professions have been experiencing it a lot, and it's been increasing throughout the pandemic and post-pandemic.
Right, and there's no real, because it's happening so much, there's no time to stop and just take a breather at work, right?
Well, that's just it. And one of the main issues is that there's such a lack of resources. So we're seeing that people want to help. And this is actually where moral injury comes in, because people want to help. But they're feeling powerless to do so because of a lack of funding, or because they do have long waiting lists and that kind of thing. So they want to help. They're highly trained people, and yet it feels like they're hands are tied.
I can imagine, dealing with encampment issues and all of the myriad of problems that frontline workers are seeing on a day-to-day basis. And you think, okay, what's being done to stop the issue that's causing all of this?
That's right. We're always going to have suffering people, but what we need to do is to care for the people who are caring for the suffering people. It's putting things in place, like having organizations who will look at their company culture, who will look at the systems and processes for care, creating psychologically safe environments to be able to talk about compassion fatigue, burnout, moral injury. And a great place to start is actually, I have a free burnout assessment on my website at www.break-through.ca. That's breakthrough with a dash. Free, people can download it. It's being used globally by organizations to care for their people.
Okay, we'll get that link up on our website when we're finished here, but we've got about a minute left. But what are, if somebody is out there and is in one of those professions, what are some of the signs that, okay, this could be compassion fatigue?
I think one of the things we're seeing is this whole quiet quitting phenomenon. And what happens is that when people are experiencing compassion fatigue, they begin to become fatigued, they're exhausted, but it's not just the exhaustion that comes physically, it's also mentally and emotionally. And so what we see is that people who want to help others and are highly skilled and trained to do so, they start to self-protect. We'll see them put up this wall or their barrier so that they're not giving quite as much to others, or they find that they are snapping. They're kind, loving people, but now they're snapping, they're acting poorly, they are causing conflict. These are some of the signs.
And we need those people, and we need them highly
Absolutely.
functioning.
That's right, and they want to be. That's the thing. I've never met someone in one of these professions who doesn't want to be highly functioning. They're giving it their all. They're in this because they want to make a difference in this world.
Okay, really, really important. And again, your website is?
www.break-through.ca. Breakthrough with a dash.
Okay, I have a feeling we're going to be talking a lot more about this. Thanks so much for kind of opening our eyes to compassion fatigue, the difference between that and burnout. And again, we will get all the information, all the links, and that free questionnaire up on our website, chch.com/morninglive. Thanks very much for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me.